Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining us. We'll begin in a moment with the Shalom Aleichem. If you're joining in and you have a Siddur at home, the Shalom Aleichem is found on page number 5. Just a little reminder, Shalom Aleichem is actually a poetic address to angels. We're anticipating in our own mind's eyes that angels are joining us. And we reach out and we offer a gift. How often do you and I think about the fact that you and I have the power, spiritual power, to share a gift with angels? And that gift is a greeting of sincere peace. And now let's ratchet it up one level higher. What if we were to take hold of that same spiritual power and offer gifts of peace to people, to human beings? And in these days, we know how critical it is. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Ashoret, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bolachem l'shalom, malachei shalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech, malachei amlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, malachei shalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom malachei shalom malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei amlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom. We're offering a prayer to angels, and angels are leaving, and angels are now a bit more protected because we have sung to them, and we are bidding them farewell on their journey out into the world with a prayer of peace. Our prayer, our song for peace, fortifies angels. May it fortify mankind as well. we're all thinking of a war that broke out before our own very eyes just these past 48 or so hours or more. And so I'm offering this evening a song, a prayer. It's just 2 short lines, and it comes from the book of Psalms. It's Yehi Shalom, may there be peace, B'chelech, in your walls and in your surrounding areas. Shalva, may there be tranquility, Be'armenotayach, in your walls and neighborhoods. It's from the book of Psalms, and it's sung by a group of some years ago, high school students in a Jewish choir. Yehi Shalom, may there be peace, B'chelech, in your walls. Shalva, tranquility all around the perimeter of your homes. Yehi Shalom.
Yehi Shalom, B'chelech Shalva, Be'armenotayich. Yehi Shalom, B'chelech Shalva, Be'armenotayich. Yehi Shalom, B'chelech Shalva, Be'armenotayich. Yehi Shalom, Shabbat be'armenotayif. Yehi Shalom B'chelev 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 Shabbat be'armenotayif. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yehi Shalom B'chelev Shabbat be'armenotayif.
On page 12, on the English side, the last stanza of this psalm, which in its origins was calling out about the Israelites who were being stubborn and hard-hearted and closed-minded and too judgmental. If only you would listen today to God's voice and not become hard-hearted like the people at Meribah, like that time at Massah in the desert, when your ancestors tried me and tested me, though they had seen what I had wrought. For 40 years I was troubled by that generation, and I said, these are people whose hearts have gone astray. They do not know my way. And in the original time period, thousands of years ago, these people were closed-minded, and they thought there was only one way in accordance with their own perspective, and they defied God. And that's why, from our own knowledge of the book of Bamidbar, Numbers in the Torah, the Israelites wandered for 40 years, but the book of Psalms takes it in a poetic way and said, because you were hard-hearted, you didn't have the privilege of living in a land of peace and security. And now we're thinking of the aggressors, those who are so hard-hearted, and they're attacking a smaller and a weaker, an inferior community out of greed and out of a desire to control, to overpower. And these are the hard-hearted ones. Where will their journey be? Where will they end up? And how many people will suffer because of the hard-hearted? Ordinarily, the early part of the Friday evening service is a series of psalms to put us in a mood, but I'm in a different mood right now. So I'm taking a prerogative, and we're offering a prayer, a known prayer with a well-known melody. It's called the Mishaberach, and it's offered by Debbie Friedman. And if you know this prayer, hum along. If not, just listen and attach your prayer to it, thinking of the people in Ukraine who are already ill already wounded, already injured, and some unfortunately have already died, and think of their families, and attach your prayer to this song, this prayer, Misha Berach.
Find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekol habracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekol habracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekol habracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say
On page 16, the conclusion of Psalm 97, the last two stanzas. Those who love Adonai hate evil. God protects the lives of the faithful, saving them from the hands of the sinful. Light is sown for the righteous and joy for the upright. Rejoice in Adonai, you righteous people, and thank God as you pronounce the divine holy name. I'm thinking of these phrases. Those who love God hate evil. God is the absolute good. And where there is absolute evil, those who care for the absolute good reject absolute evil. And that's our introduction to Shabbat. Once a week, we need to remind ourselves, we need to instruct ourselves that as people of caring heart, people who value justice and honor and respect and law-abiding nature, reject those forces of hatred and of evil, of cruelty and of wickedness. That's our introduction every Friday night. Reiterating that last line, Overnoi sinura shomer nafshot chasidav. We're familiar with Oseh Shalom. It comes from the Psalms. Literally, Oseh Shalom b'mromav. God is making peace in God's own heavenly heights. Hu ya'aseh shalom. May God make shalom, peace, aleinu, for all of us down here in the world. We don't need peace only in the heavens. We need peace here. And now, a slightly different melody, Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav Hu ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen, amen. Ya'aseh shalom. Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen, amen. Ve'al kol Yoshevei Tevet, amen.
Most of us are familiar with the phrase, Oseh Shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Bring peace upon the people of Israel. Some are not quite as familiar with a recently new phrase interpolated, Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, and all those who dwell upon this world. And in these hours, in these hours of pain and heartache and anguish as we watch the news and we see people who are being tread upon so cruelly, so wickedly. Every fiber of our being calls out, Val kol yoshvei tevel, bring forth peace quickly to all those who dwell throughout the entire world. And now L'Charudi on page 23, the first two stanzas on page 23, the last two stanzas on page 25. L'cha doji likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'cha doji likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad. Hishmianu el hamayuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad. L'Shem ol tiferet v'lit hila. L'cha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechuven elcha. Ki mekor habracha merosh mikedem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machashava tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Yamin usmol tifrotzi v'et Adonai taritzi. Al Yarish ben Partsi v'nis mecha v'nagila. Lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala. Gam b'simcha u'v'tzahala. Toch emunei am segula. Boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. And as we're seated, we're reminding ourselves, Shabbat's coming into our homes, into the shul. Shabbat's represented as something of great beauty. And look at the psalm for Shabbat on page 27. And the very first element on that opening stanza is a reminder to be thankful for being alive in this world. It's good to thank you. So Shabbat joins us, you might say, picture it as something beautiful, lovely, breathtaking. And the very next step is be grateful for you, for your presence, each one of us, all of us, in this shared space. It is good to thank you, Adonai, and sing to your name most high, to proclaim your love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. Finger the lute, pluck the harp, let the sound of the lyre rise up. You gladden me with your deeds, Adonai, and I shall sing of your handiwork. How wonderful are your works, Adonai, how subtle your designs. The arrogant do not understand, the fool does not comprehend this. The wicked flourish like grass, and every evildoer blossoms, only to be destroyed forever. But you, Adonai, are exalted for all time. Surely your enemies, Adonai, surely your enemies will perish. All who commit evil will be scattered. As a wild bull raises up its horn, you raised my head high and anointed it with fresh oil. As my enemies gather against me, my gaze remains steady, for my ears listen and hear repeatedly twice a week. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in our God's courtyards. The Siddur is teaching us that you and I have a role to play to bring justice and righteousness into the world. For the world itself needs justice and righteousness. Tzadikat Tamar means that we are fertilizing the earth with our behavior. Tzadikatamar yifrach keres valvanon yiske shetulim bebeit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenovon beseva Deshenim verananim yeyo lehagid ki ashar Adonai tzuri v'lo avlatabo. The opening bracha of the evening service is Ma'ariv, but tonight I'm taking a little bit of a liberty, and we have a song sheet here. And the song, the melody, the prayer is by Rabbi Sherwin. Blessed is the one who makes the evening fall.
Blessed is the one who makes the evening fall. Blessed is the Spirit who guides us all. Blessed is the one who makes the evening fall. Blessed is the Spirit who guides us all. Baruch atah Adonai ha-Mahariv Haravim. Baruch atah Adonai ha-Mahariv Haravim. Shekhinah, 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 Shekhinah.
And on page 40, the second bracha, extending the message of Ma'ariv Arvim. Ma'ariv Arvim is temporal, spatial, light and dark, day and night. But Ahavat Olam, on page 40, breathes a reason for existence. It's love. Love and connection. That's Ahavat Olam. On page 40. With timeless love, you have loved your people, the house of Israel. You have taught us Torah and mitzvot, statutes and laws. Therefore, Adonai our God, as we lie down and as we rise up, we shall speak of your laws, rejoicing in the words of your Torah and in your mitzvot forever and ever. For they are our life and the fullness of our days, and on them we shall meditate day and night. Do not ever withdraw your love from us. Baruch atah Adonai, who loves the people of Israel. V'avotecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Page 41. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. And tonight, because of what our world is experiencing, again, another prerogative, inserting the song, Craig Taubman's song, Holy Ground, and it's the amplification of that second bracha, which speaks of love. People don't understand what we mean when we say that we build love into our prayer service every single day. We're not talking about hearts and flowers and Valentine cards. You're missing the point. That's third grade. We're talking about recognizing that human beings are to be cared for and appreciated and respected, even setting aside the fact that all of us are different. Humanity needs love, decency, and honor to survive as much as we need oxygen, as much as we need water. That's what the second bracha is all about. That's what Ahavta is all about. That's what Ahavat Olam is, and Vayom Shemoah and Vayomer Hashem. And so if you know the song, Holy Ground, a recognition that life and space and air and water and respecting humanity are all interchanged, sing along. If not, just listen.
Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, everything, everyone, every place, every way, where you walk, where you stand, where you love, where you praise, all of life is holy ground. Every he, every she, every what, every who, it's in her, it's in them, it's in me, it's in you, in the bitter, in the sweet, in the calm, in the storm, all of life is holy ground. So walk as if it's holy ground, breathe as if it's all around, talk and make a holy sound, take your shoes off, you're on holy ground. When you hurt, when you heal, when you laugh, when you pray, when you hold, when you keep, when you give it away, every second, every minute, every hour, every day, all of life is holy ground. So walk as if it's holy ground, breathe as if it's all around, talk and make a holy sound, we take our shoes off, we're on holy ground. We are one people, one story, one tapestry we weave, one journey, one glory, one legacy we leave. Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, everything, everyone, every place, every way, where you walk, where you stand, where you love, where you praise. All of life is holy ground. Can you feel the holy ground? Take your shoes off, you're on holy ground.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. Michamocha is on page 44. A reminder, twice a day, every day, throughout the entire year, we sing Michamocha. Michamocha is a joyous, confident proclamation. We just got out of slavery. The enemy who's been challenging and oppressing us for hundreds of years is no longer a threat. And we're walking and we're leaving that enslavement and that brutality. That's Michamocha. It's a joyous acclamation. Michamocha. Michamocha poelim Adonai. Michamocha nedar b'kodesh noratilot osef eleh. Malchutecha ra'ovanecha bokeh yam lifnei Moshe zeli anuv yamro Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar kifad Adonai et Yaakov ugalom yad chazak mimenu baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. But the Michamocha, as joyous as it is, talks about what was a long time ago, 3,300 years ago with Moses. And at some point, as we're walking on into history, we realized not every day is a glorious moment of deliverance. And that's why we have the Hashkivenu, which isn't from 3,000 years ago, but the voice and the tone of the Hashkivenu is right now. God, we need security now. We need tranquility now. We need to be restored now. And I'm thinking of people in subway tunnels. I'm thinking of people who are running for their very lives. And we need protection and safety now. The English, page 45. Hashkivenu Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us all to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us all your canopy of peace. Restore us all with your good counsel, and save us all for the sake of your name. Shield us all. Remove from us all enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us all, and stop and we say, and for the people in Ukraine, protect them and safeguard them and grant them the strength and the courage so they can protect themselves, and grant all those who are standing next to them the courage and the willingness to work together to protect them. Demonstrate that they are cherished in all of our eyes, not only the eyes of God. Hear this prayer now, right now. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol mo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. The top of page 46. V'shamro b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam B'ni u'bein b'nei Yisrael oti li'olam oti li'olam oti li'olam V'shamro b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz v'shamra b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam Vayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash V'shamra b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam barit olam. We now rise to the silent Amida. The traditional text, pages 47 through 52, or perhaps at this point in time, each one of us will compile a meditation, a prayer for a nation, a community, a world away that is beleaguered and surrounded by enemies, by extremes of rage and of violence and cruelty. We rise, a silent prayer. In a moment on page 51, the concluding blessing of the Amid, and as I mentioned earlier today when I was introducing Oseh Shalom, there are now some occasions when we insert a new phrase, Va'al kol yoshvei, yoshvei tevel, and for all those who dwell upon the entire world. Va'al kol yoshvei, and all those who dwell, tevel, upon the entire world. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim le'olam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha ve'hakol yoshvei tevel. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim le'olam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha beit Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך.
Yesterday, I went to the hospital to visit a shul member, and I was focused on that specific experience. My eyes, my head, my mind, my thoughts, my heart were already focused on this specific person, and I was preoccupied, and I didn't notice somebody by the entryway to the hospital, an acquaintance of mine who I met on some occasions, and he called over me because I'm the rabbi. And he introduced me to a woman at this doorway of the hospital in tears because she had news of her husband who was very ill. And he asked me to pray with this woman, a stranger. I never met her before. I was preoccupied and I really wanted to be in the hospital with our shul person. But then I managed to open my eyes and see the tears in the eyes of this very frightened woman. And yes, she had a friend by her side, but I surmised that she was very alone because it came out in conversation that there were siblings and there were other relatives, and nobody was in the hospital with her. She happened to be there by herself outside until her friend showed up, the man with whom I'm acquainted. And so I did something that's not typically Jewish. I didn't have the Siddur. I didn't sing or say Mi Sheberach, which is Hebrew, which wouldn't speak to her. I spoke to her in English. And I prayed, may God watch over you and your loved ones. May God bring forth the healing power. and place the angel Raphael, the angel of healing presence, right by your husband's side. And may you know that you are not alone, and the source of the entire universe loves you and cares for you and is as close to you as your own whispers of prayer. Simple words. It occurred to me that by looking into the eyes of somebody who was a stranger, but scared and alone, and being willing to see her tears, I was able to open up something inside myself. We Jews have been very good at worshiping for 3,000 years. That's what the Torah is all about. And all the worship services are based upon and rooted in that practice. And the book is 2,000 years old. It's got a new cover, English interpretations and new commentaries, but the heart of it is 2,000 years old. We're very good at doing that which is 3,000, 2,000 years old. But sometimes we're not so good at doing what needs to be done right now, in the moment, the new, in the day. And I'm picturing people halfway around the world who dress like you and me, who live in apartments and houses just like you and I do, who eat like you and I do, who work like you and I do, who want to grow old and enjoy their families, their children and grandchildren, retire just like us. And for no reason at all, their world has been turned upside down and ripped apart in the past 2, 3, 4 days before the eyes of the entire world. And I can't help but think that if we were all able to look into their own eyes, the way I looked into the eyes of this woman in a parking lot yesterday, and we could see their tears and their loneliness and their terror, then we'd be able to open up something inside our own hearts and offer a prayer. Not the Mishaberach necessarily, not the Aleinu, not the Adon Olam, not something that's 500 or 2,000 or 3,000 years old in Hebrew, but something from us. And so this is the challenge for us as Jews, living in the 21st century, still in a little bit of a COVID pandemic, endemic, whatever the term is. Challenge is for us to reach inside ourselves and to realize that what we already are ambassadors of prayer and of love and of hope and of respect. The Hebrew words are Kedusha, Emunah, Bechira, and so on. That's what defines us as people. That's why we left Egypt, Michamocha. That's why we stood at Mount Sinai. That's why in tomorrow's Torah reading we are building a worship structure to go on a march into the land of Israel, because we are demanded by the Creator of the universe to bring honor and justice and righteousness and caring into the world every single day, each in his or her own way. And we're not allowed to turn away from somebody because we happen to be preoccupied with what we think is the task at hand. That's what I learned yesterday. I still had the time, I still had the energy, I still had the ability to go into the synagogue, into the hospital rather, and visit a synagogue member. I hadn't lost anything by taking a few extra minutes and looking in the eyes of a stranger and being willing to see the fear and allow that to open up something inside me. I hadn't lost anything. In fact, I gained. And think about what all of us can gain. So now you realize that you're deputized and you can't say no because you're a member of the Jewish household. And as a member of the Jewish household, you're an ambassador to bring honor and respect into the world, one person at a time, somebody you know, and maybe somebody you'll never ever see again. And to seal that, we're going to sing one of the oldest prayers we have. It's the Aleinu, which means It's upon us to do that which is necessary and right. That's the Aleinu L'Shabeach. It's upon all of us. Or in modern English, it's up to us. We rise the Aleinu on page 56. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, lateit gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shehu Noteh Shamayim V'Yosei Haaretz U'Moshav Yikaro B'Shamayim Mimal U'Shchinatu Zo B'Gavei Meromim Hu Eloheinu Ein Od Emet Malkeinu Evezulato Kakatu B'Torato V'Yodata Yom V'Shevota El Levavecha Ki Adonai Hu Elohim B'Shamayim Mimal V'Al Haaretz Mitachat Ein Od Kakatu b'Toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad Shema echad. Kaddish in a moment will be on page number 58, and those so inclined to rise to recite the Kaddish are invited to do so. On this Shabbat, we remember with great love Sarah Sanders, Jeanette Beatrice Weiner, Cecile Olinsky Mishkin, Mendel Greenberg, Howard Lee Unger, Tamara Olinsky, Ellis Lupin, Myra Mitchell, Reverend Simon Chassin, Ida Chayagitel Lubel, Leah Gollum, Miriam Schwartz, Lester Halprin, Adolf Kaplan, Trudy Halprin, Morris B. Schwartz. We remember Paul Buckstein, Molly Gross, Anthony Arnold, and we just learned today that Meg Murray Maisel lost her father, John Murray. And we extend our love to all those who are in loss. And if you at home have a name which you would like to mention at this time, it's very appropriate to do so. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Amen. Be'olma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute b'chaye chon u'v'yom echon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imeru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam ololmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudisha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata, v'shirata, tushbechata, b'nechemata, da'ami ran ba'olma v'meru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim olenu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'meru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom olenu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'meru. Amen. These words first began 1,800 years ago in Babylonia, now Iran and Iraq. And the words migrated from Babylonia throughout Europe to Israel and across the world over the past 1,800 years. When I hear these words, when I hear you saying these words, I hear the echoes of your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents all across the earth. I hear the echoes of your grandparents, and you hear the echoes of our shared ancestors. And someday those who follow after us will hear our words, and all that's echoing across time. Each one of us giving voice to grief, loss, most importantly, love. May we be comforted. We'll conclude in just a moment with the Adon Olam on page 211. And then Kiddush and Motzi. Perhaps you're joining in with us at home and you have wine and bread for Kiddush and Hamotzi. And reminders, of course, tomorrow Shabbos morning davening from 10 to about 11:15 or so. And we're announcing the next month. We're excited. We have a special prayer when we announce the next month. That's tomorrow. And Monday, Tanakh study on Zoom at noon. Tuesday, Adult Hebrew on Zoom. And Tuesday, that's at 3 o'clock. And Spirit on Zoom at 5 o'clock on Tuesday the topic is racism. Is Judaism free of racism? That's our Spirit discussion on Tuesday afternoon at 5 o'clock on Zoom. Adon Olam is on page 211. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra li'ed nasa v'chetzo kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra v'yacharei kichlot hakol lavado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hoveh v'hu yiyeh B'tifara, v'ho yeh b'tifara, v'ho echad v'yein sheni, laham shilo, lahachbira, b'li reshit, b'li tachlit, v'lo ha'oz v'ha'misra, v'lo ha'oz v'ha'misra, v'ho eli, v'chai go'ali, v'tzur chevli, b'yeit tzara, v'ho Nisi umanosli menat kosi biyom ekra menat kosi biyom ekra biyado avkid ruchi ba'eit ishan v'yaira v'im ruchi gaviyati Adonai li v'lo ira Adonai li v'lo ira. And now Kiddush, again, if you've got wine or grape juice at home, you're invited to join in with us. Kiddush will be in the Siddur on page number 55, wine or juice. And then a moment later, we'll be making the hamotzi. Perhaps you have a piece of bread with you at home. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yavo v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit Ki hu yom techila lamikra'ei kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikol amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'yahava v'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Shmo. Eloheinu melech haolam, v'motzi lehem min haaretz.
Amen. Shkoyach Gadiel, Todarabah Adon HaShamash. Gadiel always helps us. He propels us out into the cybersphere of the universe. Thank you very much for all your help. Shabbat Shalom. Thanks for joining in. We look forward to seeing each other in person at some point, hopefully in the near future. May you know how cherished you are. Litrot.